At the Knesset Gedola of Agudas Yisrael in Vienna in 1923, Rav Meir Shapiro, 1887 to 1934, made two unique proposals. Rav Meir Shapiro was a master orator and one of the leading Gedolei Yisrael. Proposal number one was the establishment of the Daf HaYomi, which would be a united study program of one blot per day for all Jews universally around the world. And of course we know this has caught on internationally. The Siyam HaShas is one of the highlight events in in the entire Jewish world. But just to understand the impact of this takana, there's a tshuva in the Igros Moshe in Chelek Ches, Yardea Siman Lamed Vav, page Reish Chavtes. The Rav Moshe writes that this was not just a suggestion, but in fact it's really incumbent upon every Jew to endeavor to try to accomplish learning the entirety of the Torah, even on a basic level. It is, the Rav Moshe says, beyond us to learn the whole Torah in depth, but at the very least to go through it basically. And this was something that was practiced in the Jewish world since time immemorial, and it was weakening. And Rav Meir Shapiro got up and he made a takana, a decree, that this should be a learning program instituted in the Jewish people. So this was not merely a suggestion of Rav Meir Shapiro, but that this was a way of fostering the ancient practice of Jews going through the entirety of the Torah. But the second proposal was in regard to establishing this great yeshiva that we stand in today, Yachel's Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin, which would attract students from all over Poland and all over the Jewish world. And Rav Meir Shapiro worked tirelessly to have this magnificent construction built. This would be a central yeshiva, which would have the highest standards of Jewish education. He envisioned ample and comfortable dining space, dormitory space, kitchen facility, and a pleasant learning environment. And Rav Meir Shapiro was going to hire the best Rosh Yeshiva and the best Magidei Shir from all over the world. Rav Meir Shapiro literally traveled throughout the Jewish world, through Europe, through England, even to the United States of America, fundraising for the maintenance of this yeshiva. Now, Rav Meir Shapiro wanted to have the top yeshiva in every regard. So he traveled to the Lithuanian yeshivas to try to become well acquainted in their analytical approach. He wanted his yeshiva to fuse together the great analytical approach of the Lithuanian yeshivas, as well as the encyclopedic bekios of the yeshivas of Galicia. So he wanted to fuse together the best that every yeshiva had to offer, and he literally traveled throughout the yeshivas of the world to try to create this premier yeshiva. He also started to collect Sfarim. Here in the back right, we have Sifriya, the library. Well, Rav Meir, this is just a semblance of the library, but Rav Meir Shapiro literally collected Sfarim from all over the Jewish world to establish what he would want to be the greatest library throughout the Jewish world. 1930, Chav Chasivan Yachel Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin opened its doors. The yeshiva campus was state-of-the-art, had a beautiful large garden, 6 floors, more than 100 dorm rooms, and in its prime, Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin catered to more than 500 Talmidim. Produced many great Talmid Chacham. Rav Shmuel Halevi Vosner, the previous Paisek Hadar of Bnei Brak, was a Talmid in Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin. Now, Rav Meir Shapiro wanted to open a branch of Yachel in Eretz Yisrael. However, unfortunately, Rav Meir Shapiro died in 1934 at 46 years old. Throughout the Jewish world, he was mourned. 50,000 plus attended his levaya here. And luckily, it doesn't mitigate the tsar and the tragedy of his untimely passing. He took out a large life insurance policy shortly before his untimely passing, and the yeshiva was able to pay off its debt. Well, the Nazis came and closed down the yeshiva shortly after the occupation of Poland. I want to read to you, when they closed down the yeshiva, they gloated, they burnt all the Sfarim in the library. Here is an excerpt from the Deutsche Jugend Zeitung, the Hitler Youth paper. It was a matter of pride for us to destroy this Talmudic academy, which was known as the largest in all of Poland. We removed all the books which were holy to the Jews and we burned them. The Jews stood and cried as the flames burned for 24 hours. Their cries deafened us. We needed to bring an army band and playing joyous tones of military music to cover up the deafening cry of the Jews. Now, Reb Meir was born in Schatz, in Sugzawa, Bukovina, in the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. He was a descendant of Rav Pinchas Karatzer, one of the earlier masters of Chasidus. On his mother's side, he was a descendant of Rabbi Yosef Bechar Shar, a French Tosafist. He used to learn with his grandfather, Rav Shmuel Yitzchak Shar, the Mincha Shai. The Mincha Shai was the grandfather of Rav Meir Shapiro. He used to learn with Rav Shula Mashkovitz, the Shatzer Rebbe, was a Kabbalist. And Rav Meir slowly became known as the Eloi of Schatz. He was an outstanding leader, a gifted orator, and he received smicha from the Maharsham Poisek Hadar. Maharsham writes about Rav Meir Shapiro, V'ra'isi es Rav Meir oiker harem. I see Rav Meir uprooting mountains of Torah, meaning his penetrating analysis. V'toichenam zeba zeba halacha. And when I saw this great Torah sage, Rav Meir Shapiro, I made a blessing. Yoitzer Hamaoros. Thank the Rebbe Shem, he created such a luminary. Rav Meir Arik, one of the Polish Gaonim, writes in his Haskama to the Imrei Das Rav Meir Shapiro, B'toirasai shel Rav Meir matzasi kasav kasnais are. This is a play on the Medrash. The Medrash says that in Rav Meir's Sefer Torah, it said the garments of Adam HaRishon were garments of light. Garments of light, where Rav Meir was on that Madrega. Rav Meir Shapiro was the first Orthodox Jew to become a member of the Sejm, the Polish parliament. So he was a member of the Second Polish Republic. So incredibly, simultaneously, he is a Goin Shebegoinim, and he is a Polish politician. He was a member of the Polish parliament. Says Rav Baruch Shimon Schneerson, a student of Rav Meir Shapiro, because of his many talents and because of his many abilities, they covered over his greatest attribute. By the way, Rav Meir Shapiro was a composer, the Nigun. Uvechein tzadikim yeroveyez. Rav Meir Shapiro. But his greatest attribute was, so to speak, covered over by his many talents, and his greatest ability was he was Ga'in Shebegoinim. He had complete mastery over all dimensions of Torah. The week that he was accepted, the Rav in Lublin, on the first Shabbos, he comes to the Beis Medrash of the Marshal. We were just at the Marshal's kever. And the Rav Meir Shapiro gave the following drasha. B'makayim gedolim al tamoid. Literally, you don't stand in the place of great people. Meaning, who am I to stand in the place of the Marshal? But as Rav Meir Shapiro was aptly would accomplish, he had a play on words. B'makoim gedolim, where gedolim in Torah, gedolim in Yura stood, where Marbitz Torah al tamoid. Don't be an oimed. Don't rest on your laurels. Don't plateau. B'makoim gedolim, where gedolim used to stand, al tamoid, but rather forge ahead and create even additional avenues of Torah and Avodas Hashem. Rav Meir Shapiro, I want to share with you, I'm here speaking on behalf of J-Root, led by Rabbi Naftali Schiff. So Rabbi Naftali once told me a vart from Rav Meir Shapiro. I think it's quite an opportunity to speak it out. You know, Rabbanim always want to know, Jewish leaders want to know, when is the proper time to stand on your laurels and not to back down and to sort of stick up for the dignity and honor of Torah, and when is it the right time to be meek and humble? So Meir Shapiro would say the following on the pasuk: Hinei makom iti. Rebbe Shem tells Moshe, "There's a place with me. V'nitzavta al atzur, you'll stand by the rock. V'haya ba'avar kvaidi, and when my honor passes on, v'samticha b'nikras atzur, I will place you in the crevice, in the cleft of the rock." Where Meir Shapiro would say like this: this is advice to a Jewish leader. Hinei makom iti. When there is place with me, when it's a matter of my honor, when it's a matter of my my dignity. When it's a matter of the dignity of the Torah, v'nitzavta al atzur, you need to stand on your laurels. You can't back down. You have to stick up for the honor and dignity of the Torah. V'haya ba'avar k'vaydi, but now if my honor has passed on, it's not a matter of my honor, it's a matter of your honor. V'samticha b'nikras atzur, that's when you should back off. Meaning, if it's really the matter of kavod HaTorah, you have to stick up for it. If it's a matter of your honor, that's a different story entirely. Rabbi Shapiro once said, Chazal tells us in Gemara in Shabbos on Daf Hey, Yadoi shel Adam chashuva kedalet al dalet. A man's hand is like a domain of 4 by 4 cubits, and you could be kaino with your hand. But Rabbi Shapiro had sort of a play on words. Yadoi shel Adam. If a person gives and supports Torah with his hand, sometimes a person doesn't have the luxury to spend their days and nights learning Torah. So if a person doesn't have that flexibility to spend all their time learning, Yadai shel Adam, a person's hand. Kedalet al dalet is the equivalent of the dalet amma shel halacha. What you can't accomplish by study, you could accomplish by support. If a person generously supports Torah, that is akin to actually learning, says Rabbi Shapiro. I want to speak out 2 more items. Famous Gemara Pesachim Chaf Beis Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Shimon Hamsuni had a policy, he would darshan every S in the Torah, until he came to the pasuk of Es Hashem Elokecha Tira. Es Hashem Elokecha Tira, you should fear someone other than God. Es Hashem Elokecha, who does that include? So Piresh, he said, you know what, it's been a nice career, I was wrong, and he separated from his drasha until Rabbi Akiva came, Es Hashem Elokecha Tira, L'Rabbis Talmidei Chachamim. Rabbi Shapiro had his own unique explanation of this Gemara. Es Hashem Elokecha Tira, when a person hears that there's a mitzvah to fear God, what should the response be? Shimon HaMsuni said the response should be Piresh. If you have to fear God, then basically you need to live a very disciplined life. You have to be circumspect. Where do I go? What do I look at? What do I listen to? What do I read? Piresh! When he heard the pasuk, fear God, he separated from the norms of this world. Because how could a person fear God and yet be intermingled with society at large? So his response was Piresh. Ad Sheba Rabbi Akiva, until Rabbi Akiva says, no, if you really want to fear God, you need to have a different policy entirely. You want to feel God? L'Rabbis Talmidei Chachamim, go out into the world, make relationships. See what is available in this world in order to promote the amassing and the proliferation of more Talmidei Chachamim. You want there to be fear of God in the world? Teach Torah, support Torah, create families, build your families to increase the God-fearing people in this world. And this was really the approach of Rabbi Shapiro. He was Mekayim this Indian of Es Hashem Elokecha Tira. He built this great yeshiva Yachel L'Rabbis Talmidei Chachamim. One last idea. Noach comes out of the Teva. He sees a world destroyed. God criticized Noach. God calls the Mabel Mei Noach, as if it was your fault, Noach. Chazal say, the Zohar says, Noach should have davened for the people. What is the symbol of the promise that God makes that He will not destroy the world again? The rainbow. Why is that the symbol that God will not destroy the world again? What is the symbolic meaning of the rainbow? Says Rabbi Shapiro. It was a dark storm. It was a gloomy day. It looks like the world will be destroyed. It looks like all has ended. And all of a sudden you see the 5 brilliant colors of the rainbow. What does that indicate? That no matter how gloomy and bleak things seem to be, with the proper sunshine and the proper illumination, you could bring out the most exquisite, beautiful colors, even in the darkness. God was telling Noach a message. You didn't believe in the people. You weren't like Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was also dealing with idolaters. But when Avraham Avinu shined the light of Torah, he created beautiful souls. You too, Noach, you made a mistake. Yes, the people were corrupt. Yes, the people had sunk, but if he would have shined the light of Torah knowledge on them, then it would have produced the most exquisite colors of the rainbow. That's the symbol of the rainbow, that no matter how low man sinks, there is a way to shine a little bit of light into this world and produce the most exquisite colors. This was the great teaching of Rav Meir Shapiro, and he, of course, shone his glorious light on this world and produced so many Talmidei Chachamim, and so much Torah is due today to the influence of Rav Meir Shapiro. May his great light shine for us in this galus until the great day of Ar Chadash Al Tzion Ta'ir V'nizkech Lanu B'mheira Li'oray. Thank you so much.